We're live.
Got a lot of questions today.
And we got a lot of stuff to show too.
We do. Yeah, that we do.
It's Friday. I haven't had a zero inbox forever, and
Yeah.
I've been meaning to like
Lazy.
just go through it and get it all out. Mm-hmm. I even use that service boomerang to try to clear out my inbox.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
And then it comes back.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. That's called procrastination. If you want a true zero inbox, answer your damn emails.
Yeah, sometimes I avoid it. There was a comic I think I was reading. It was like, yeah, I'm answering your emails because there's something else that I don't want to do more than this.
That's right. These are the things that are keeping me busy while the more important stuff is sitting in the background. Okay, so.
Hey, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's Friday morning. Mm-hmm. We're stoked.
The birds are chirping.
The birds are chirping. The rash on my eye is back. Like, yay.
Yay.
You know what? I just gave up on putting the medicine on, and I guess that's kind of the way it is with some things. Like, you think it's cleared up, you let it go, and then it comes back with a vengeance. So if at some point my eye is just like, I come in looking like
that Powerpuff
Sloth, love chunk.
Hey, Goonies.
Oh, perfect. That was not even intentional, but just fortuitous.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy Friday.
Hi.
Let's get to the good stuff. We got a couple of thank yous.
We did a Denver meetup last night.
That was awesome.
Yep.
We took the whole family. Mateo and Ava were there.
I got an awesome. Oh my goodness.
That's a
from
big.
Ken.
We call that a
Ken.
big old blank.
He told me this came from Ohio.
Yeah, a tree in Ohio.
His parents'
right
yard.
And he says it's arbor vitae, like lignum vitae, but arbor vitae.
I don't know.
I might not be pronouncing it correctly. It's a soft
You're saying words, but I don't
These
know
are
what
words,
they're
but I actually told Ken, I said, oh, this is fantastic. I can't wait to see Nicole ruin this.
I think it would be a beautiful bowl.
Theoretically, yes, it will.
You know what? I need to get back on the tools that I learned from the flute.
The super flute bowl gouge?
I like that.
Nicole wants to go back to old school.
Yeah.
It may not be as easy as you remember it. You got to get some practice time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
practice time.
So Ken, thank you for driving all the way down to the event. That was so much fun. If you guys don't have meetups in your area, start them. I mean, that's all it takes. You don't need to necessarily have 300,000 followers on Facebook to start this stuff.
And Mel Morris, he lives more up north.
He's going to start a northern chapter.
A northern chapter.
Yeah. It's so fun, though. I mean,
Fort Collins.
And it's not all just about woodworking. No. Everybody's very casual. The weather has turned very, very nice. So it was a great family atmosphere.
Everybody got to see me chasing after Ava.
Chasing Ava. Mateo found a friend. He's running around. It was so much fun. So Ken, thanks again for the blank. Now, I also have a very special thing to show off here. I teased about this.
Is this from James?
This is from...
James built this?
James King, also known as King James, as far as I'm concerned. He built this incredible C-clamp, and this thing is massive.
That's crazy. It's
got a 12-inch throat depth, and he made this on his YouTube channel. And he's a local guy. He actually bought my DeWalt saw.
Okay.
The miter saw, battery-powered one. Really nice guy, great family, has a good YouTube channel. The family shows up in YouTube. You see his wife and his daughter in there all the time. They actually made a great, I think it's his extreme miter station. That's fantastic, really, really good. But this thing, it just blew my mind. And I saw the video that he made on it. He brought this to the event last night, and I was drooling over it. And I said, all right. Because I'm kind of, not to, to my own horn, but I'm kind of a muscular diesel guy, right? Okay. So, no, but seriously, I was curious. It is made out of wood. It's red oak. Here, let me show you some of the details before I do this. Look at the details there. Nice finger joints, lots of glue surface. He's got it pinned with 3 dowels all the way through, and that's both joints. And this is a lamination of 3 pieces of 4/4 red oak.
So what would you use that for? Besides going...
to make sure this area doesn't open when I don't want it to.
Don't even.
It's long reach.
I could say the same for you.
You could. You're going to hit your head.
I know this thing.
That is called karma, sweetheart. The biggest ones I have, for instance, are these. So these are very expensive. These are Bessie's. Didn't I do this on the show before where I picked this one up and I haven't been able to open it since?
Still hasn't.
I'll get to that tomorrow. I'm gonna boomerang that and get back to it. So this is the longest reach that I have. It's a Bessie Tradesman. What do we have there? 6 inches maybe? 8 at the most. All right, and they do make them a little bit bigger, but they start to get really, really expensive. By the time you get to 12 inches, good luck. That's like a second mortgage. So anyway, he embarked on this project, and I was like, thinking I know stuff. I was like, so wait. I go like this, I get to this point, I'm like, all right, now I start to feel uncomfortable tightening this thing down. If I go anymore, I'm gonna break it, right? He goes, no, keep going. So I keep going with it, and I got to the point where I was like, this is seriously gonna break. And he's like, no. So he did, in his video, he put it on a household scale and got to the point that it errored out, which was 550 pounds of pressure.
Wow.
So when you think about, he's estimating just, sort of educated guess, he thinks it's gonna go to about 1,000 before something breaks, being most likely the wood, this joint here. Threads, I don't know, those threads are probably gonna be pretty strong because it's through this entire block.
How did he make those threads? I bet I should probably watch the video.
Watch the video. Yeah. So anyway, James, thank you so much. And so here's what happened was I looked at it and I gave him the sad puppy dog eyes. Yeah. And I was like, you're so pretty, James. I said, actually, I told him if you make a few, I would gladly buy them from you. And he thought that getting a mention on the show was a better proposition. So I do want to give him a hearty mention because I actually felt a little bit guilty taking this.
You should.
I don't really feel guilty.
Wow. Well, I got something too.
No, I'm not done yet.
I got a challenge coin.
No, you can wait on your challenge coin. So it's a beautiful challenge coin, but we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, I don't think he has a custom URL for his page, but look up King's Fine Woodworking. We're gonna put a link in the show notes to his channel and a link to the video showing how he made these. And he said about 10 bucks is his investment in this and in probably materials. Tooling, different story.
Right.
But amazing. So we'll see how far it goes before it breaks.
Alex said, you're such a moocher.
I know. I feel really bad.
Hey, Joseph mentions in the
I would have never asked him, but he offered. And would you turn that down? No, exactly. So, challenge coin. Yeah,
we got, and I'm blank on his name. We were sitting around talking, and he gave me a really cool challenge coin for
your coffee.
Yeah, that was mine.
Oh, it's like coffee popsicle. Oh, it's so sugary.
It just has more sugar than you have. None. I have regular.
2 pounds. Okay, go ahead.
So I got a really cool challenge coin. Thank you for that. I got one in the mail the other day. So if you do send me challenge coins, please do not
don't use a regular envelope.
In a regular envelope, because guess what happens? Bloop. It pops out the side because this is. I mean, they're going through these machines, and it just
gets processed.
It just gets processed, and
it's not a letter.
Unfortunately, I have no idea who sent it to me because the name is withheld. So, just as Marc and Nicole, we really enjoy watching you guys. Also, the show's great too. All kidding aside, it's really great what you guys continue to do for the woodworking community. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to many years of great instruction and entertainment. So. I got your letter, I just didn't get your coin. Yeah. I'm assuming there was a coin in there.
Well, we have his address. We'll go to his house.
That's our address.
Oh.
Yeah, so, see?
Weird.
Bink, bink.
All right, well, he signed at C. I'm going to refer to him as Cheech.
Cheech.
From now on. You don't put your name, you put a C, you're Cheech.
We also received, this is from Matt. Lepper. In Missouri, Billing, Missouri.
Nice.
So he wrote a book for he calls them young folks.
Young folks.
And it's a woodworking primer for kids looking to get into the craft. And his wife did the illustration, I believe.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So it's very simply written. Standards are best, so keep a few near, because the Phillips grow legs and will soon disappear.
This is true.
When driving the screws, don't get in a rush. The use of a countersink will help set them flush.
So if you have young ones that are looking to get into the craft, and I think I mean, this is a self-published book.
It's fantastic.
I love it.
I'm going to read that to Mateo.
Are you?
Should we mention my aspirations to write a children's book for makers?
No.
Okay, let's not.
We don't have much time. We'll do that next time. So,
got lots of questions.
So yeah, you can find this on Amazon. It's called Tool Crib. If you want to take a look at it. So thank you for that, Matthew.
Somebody wants to know, what's a challenge coin? Well, Peter, a challenge coin is something when you're at a bar, you're supposed to bring it out, and whoever doesn't have a challenge coin gets punched in the nuts. That's my story.
No, it's usually they buy the drinks.
Okay, let's do some questions, shall we?
Yes, we have lots of questions.
Oh, real quick too, chair progress. I am working on my dining room chairs.
We forgot to do this last time too from Garry.
Okay, we'll do that after this. This is my progress so far. I do have the rails and the legs in place, but the big thing, really the most challenging part, was working on this curved backrest and its joint into the headrest. That was a bear. But I'm working it all out so that we make it as simplified as possible for guild members. So it's coming along nicely, as you can see, a lot of fun. Real key with this is think in terms of cutting your joints early. Like a lot of people look at this shape and go, how am I gonna get a mortise and tenon joint together on something curved like this? Well, you're thinking about the finished product. Think about 2 steps before that. When you're at a rough piece of lumber, what's the easiest way to get the joinery on there before cutting these shapes? And suddenly things start to make a lot more sense. So if you ever get into chair building, it's really owning that concept and understanding it is what's going to get you to the point of actually, getting a fairly complex design hashed out. So that's my progress so far. That is available in the guild.
So in the
woodwhispererguild.com.
So in the YouTube chat, everybody's saying like numbers, like 74, 29, 33. I'm like, what is going on? And somebody asked, I'm 74. Do you know the average age of your viewers?
It depends on where we're looking because different platforms have different age groups and different demographics. And I would say YouTube, our average is probably, the highest numbers are probably certainly between 30 to 50. To narrow it down more than that, I would say
44, I think is
yeah, it might sway into the 40s. I would say is our biggest number.
Yeah, but all ages.
Well, yeah, all ages. But if you're looking at your most, the largest group.
And finally, we forgot to do this last week.
Oh yeah.
Garry from Austin, Texas.
There's a missile in my house, Garry.
sent us a really nice birthday present.
Oh yes.
He is a photographer, and. Been a fan for a year or so, maybe a bit more. I'm not much of a woodworker, but I'm trying to learn to make frames for my prints. I've had some limited success, and your tips on tool setup and techniques have really been invaluable. But even more than that, it's a real joy to watch you two each Friday. I admit I don't always see all of every Friday episode, but I do my best. So even you have really inspired and motivated me to keep creating, even when I feel unmotivated.
I love this one.
I love that
That's
one.
my
So
favorite.
I'm going to frame these, Garry. They're beautiful. I meant to say thank you last. Oh, I love this one too.
All I can say is, look at how many coffee tables we can make out of that old barn. Right? These are really beautiful. That's the thing about photographers. I mean, anybody can take a picture with their phone, right? But it's the composition that a photographer is skilled at. Yeah. Taking something like so completely mundane that you take for granted, but hitting it from a perspective that just captures its beauty.
So I'm going to need some frames.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. As soon as I answer these questions, Nicole.
So thank you, Garry.
Okay, so these questions are from folks on Patreon, and we'll try to get some chat room questions as we go, but patreon.com/woodwhisper is where you can help us out, support the show, and get your questions answered sort of in priority over other questions. The other thing is we are over 1,800 now, and 2,000 is the PM version of the show. That's our goal for getting a nighttime show once a month. So
there you go.
Keep throwing a few bucks at us, guys, and we'll get to that goal, and we will do that show.
Plus you get some cool stuff.
And you get some cool stuff in return. We don't want to do this stuff for nothing. We want to give you something for it.
We have somebody from Nepal watching right now.
Nepal? Viva Nepal!
That's what I thought. I did that to set him up because I knew that's what he would say.
Eddie Murphy, is that Golden Child? Viva Nepal! All right. God. The movie references today are getting pretty good.
I know, right?
Weird Science.
We watch a lot of movies if you haven't realized it.
Actually, we don't anymore. Okay, so here we go. Sean Smith, what finish do you suggest for Purpleheart to really bring out the purple color? I was stupid and used an oil varnish blend and it ended up red. Purpleheart is a little bit of a weird beast. I mean, sometimes I find people emailing me, and my experience isn't always consistent with what you guys are experiencing. People email me and are like, I just put on Armor Seal right after working it and it's not purple and it turned red. Honestly, I'm a little perplexed by what Purpleheart does and when it does it, because there's times where I've basically fresh milled it and it turns this ugly gray color. But then after finishing, it gets a little red, and then a little bit more time goes by and it starts to pull in more of that purple. But then sometimes it goes back to red. Like, it's a very interesting species. So I'm guessing there's probably not 100% consistency across the board. So no pun intended. So I think you do have to consider the fact that maybe the batch you have might be behaving a little bit differently than one that I may have had in the past. So an oil-based, varnish, oil varnish blend, I don't think that necessarily turned it red. I think many finishes might have turned that board red. It was the fact that it just got some finish on it. Maybe over time it'll purple up a little bit more. So try different things. You have to experiment a little bit. Try a lacquer, see what that does. Try a water-based finish. If it's a newer one that doesn't have that cloudy, milky look, that might be okay too. But you got to see. You got to check your materials because my results may differ from yours.
Somebody quickly asked where can they send stuff to us. We'll put in the notes, the address.
The address,
It
okay.
would be silly for me to read it out to you right now.
Yeah, we'll put the address in there.
Or you could just email me, Nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Yoso.
Yay, Yoso.
Yoso cool.
You're so cute.
You're so cute. When are you making when you are making an end grain cutting board, I've read that people glue a piece of long grain wood to the end, sending it through the planer and doing shallow passes. Also, some people claim it's never safe to send end grain through the planer. What gives? I don't have access to a drum sander, so I can't use that. Okay. I generally recommend that you do not send end grain through the planer at all. That's only because most people, or a lot of people, if you give them you give them an inch, they'll take a yard. You tell them that there's a caveat and a way to do it, unless they do the research and they absolutely do it properly. Someone's at the door. It could very well explode in the planer, and that's why I recommend they avoid it. It can be very scary. That said, the people who say that there is a way to do it safely are correct. You can back up the wood. What happens is you go through, even an end grain, you take a light pass, it's cutting, everything's fine, and then it gets to the back and there's nothing supporting that vertical grain, and it pops right off and the whole board can explode. The other challenge is the fact that the rest of the board, if it's not perfectly even if there's just a little bit of a hump, a blade can get caught on that hump and cause you some major, major problems. So I think what I'm going to say is do your research. I know there's a video out there, it might even be the MTM Wood guy, who shows how you can safely plane these things.
He does a ton of cutting boards.
Yeah, and if he didn't plane them, it would be, he has to have it as part of his system. But it does involve attaching sacrificial boards to the sides to support the work, and even rails on the sides, not just the front and the back, but the sides, because that also helps stabilize things as the blades are making the cut. But it really comes down to having a board that's fairly flat without a lot of ridges on it to begin with, because that can be super scary. So yes, it's possible. Do your research, get some practice, and understand the physics of what's happening there before you embark on that.
So Todd in the chat room said, in my experience, Purpleheart will mill brown and purple under UV, then seal it to try to keep the color.
Well, and that's the thing, though. Even if you seal it ahead of time, UV will still get to it.
Yeah.
So you theoretically should be able to finish it, and it may take a little longer, but the color should come up. But if you're looking for immediate results, yeah, get the color you want first before finishing it.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex wrote in. Leffelman is his last name. I had a question relevant to my current project, but it turns out you answered it 10 years ago on your blog. Do you ever wish more people use the search box on your website? Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I have an inbox currently full, and anything that comes in through the contact form on my website, I consider that the people who I'm not very close with. And the reason is because that's the top level way to get a hold of me. If you know me well enough, you know that there are other ways you can get to me that actually are a little bit more effective and you get a quicker answer. So if you're leaving a question there, chances are you're new to the Wood Whisperer. We've never really had much contact before. So I put that in the thing I call the scrap pile. And that's not meant to be mean. It's just a pile of emails that I try to get to and make the best use of when possible. It reminds me of the scrap pile in my shop.
But here's what also happens. Some people like to email you questions, and then they go to Matt.
Well, I was going to get to that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All I set up was my scrap pile, which didn't really involve answering the question yet. But the reason for that scrap pile is because most of those questions come in, and they're stuff we've talked about before. There's stuff that if they, like you said, if they just did a simple search on our website, they would have found it. And like Nicole mentions, a lot of these people are shotgunning these questions around. And we find that on Wood Talk. Someone will say, oh, Shop Talk Live answered that guy's same question.
Yeah.
So people are shotgunning, hoping to get as many answers as possible. So, you know, that's the thing why I don't feel as bad as I used to about not getting to a question, because people have so many resources right now. And if I didn't answer their question, it's not like they're just screwed, you know?
Right.
So
Oh, we got a super chat.
Super chat.
Super chat. From Drummer Dude 1133. Mark, my table saw blade lands at 90.2 using a digigauge. Is that how you say it? Digigauge?
Sure.
And I wanted to know where your tolerance lies in regards to getting everything set dead to 90.
Well, why can't you get it to 90?
I don't know.
I mean, are we talking about the, you know, angle, tilt angle of the blade?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, you might just check your stop. There's no reason, you know, 0.1 degree. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to get to 90.
Yeah.
So in that case, I mean, you know, I'm not super picky about this stuff, but I just started using the Wixie?
That little thing
Yes.
that you...
The little magnetic deal.
Where's it at?
It's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
I've had it for years and I've never used it. And on this project, I had some miters to cut at the table. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw a fresh battery in this thing and see if it, see what it's doing.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It worked great. And you know, 0.1 degree is not hard to achieve relative to how much I'm turning the handle on the saw. Mm-hmm. So I would say, yeah, you at least want to get to 0.1 degree, within 0.1 degree tolerance in a case like that. So, but tolerance, you know, it depends. It depends on the tool and it depends on the operation. Mm-hmm. But in that case, you should be able to get it.
The 90-degree stop might be off.
A lot of times the 90-degree stop is off. And digital gauges, you got to be careful. You want to double check them with actual squares. Mm-hmm. So when you think you're at 90.2, oh shit. I'm going to go turn it off because it stays on for a while.
Oh my God. Oh, that was fun.
Sorry, Nicole. Nicole says, "Ouch, shit." Oh, shit. All right. So, what was I saying? So you want to double check with a real square, double check that digital thing to make sure it's actually accurate. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Next up.
Yep.
Michael Brindle from M13 Woodworks. Hi, Mark and Nicole. I'm currently trying to up my game on my hand tools, and I've been wondering if there's a difference between cheap and expensive chisels. I know the quality of steel is better and holds an edge longer, but any differences besides that, thanks in advance. The only one I'll add to that, and this is just from my personal experience, is I find that a cheaper chisel, cheaper steel, I find it harder to sharpen. And what I mean by that is once you know the process of sharpening and you know what a mirror finish looks like, you know what you're aiming for with a flat back, really cheap chisels can be very difficult to attain that. I find that no matter what I do on certain chisels, it's just like I cannot get this thing to be dead flat. So then the rest of the process just crumbles because I'm not able to get that good clean starting point. So for me personally, those three things are pretty substantial reasons to get a decent set, you know what I mean? But that's really, as far as I'm concerned, the only major differences. You also might find that the handles aren't as secure on a cheap chisel. Maybe the handle pops off, but that can happen on good chisels too. But you know, again, it's just a cheaper made product, so bottom line.
Matt wants to know, have you used the Japanese handsaws? Do you like them? If so, you have quite a few, don't you?
I've got a couple. They're over there. Yeah. I've got a Dozuki and one that takes different blades.
I like the name Dozuki. Dozuki.
Should have named our kid Dozuki.
No.
Dozuki Spagnolo. That'd be fantastic. You don't think?
No.
Okay. Give me a little Dozuki. Okay.
How many more questions do we have?
Oh, Dozuki made a poopy. Yeah, I have a couple. Dozuki is a good like all-around saw that I just use for cutting things off, like not really super critical stuff. But there are people who use them for anything in woodworking, right? Any type of fine joinery to rough cutting. It's there are equivalents, let's say. You also have like the Ryoba is pretty cool. And that is a double-sided blade where you have, if I'm not mistaken, you've got like a cross-cut configuration on one side and a rip on the other. How handy is that, right? Basically two saws in one, so certainly benefits to it.
Michael R. just quickly said, Pop Woodworking just reviewed the Buck Brothers chisels that you can get at Home Depot, and they were pretty complimentary.
Well, there you go.
Pretty cheap, too.
Wonder how much Home Depot paid for that. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, that's good. That's good. Good to hear.
People say that about you.
They do. In fact, some jackwad this morning was saying that about me.
Yeah.
And I kicked his butt to the curb. I said, listen, mister, I don't need your riffraff up in here. I've got a rash on my eye to worry about. I don't need a rash on my website.
Jeremiah wants to know, he's a guild member and would like to know how many board feet is in the chest of drawers project in the guild. Do you list that stuff?
In the plans, yes. We don't often list them directly on the website, but what comes in handy and I need to get consistent about is putting the link to the Bell Forest page. And Bell Forest gives you an overage, but they give you enough to do the project. And that's usually a good measure of both cost and the amount of material you need. Do
we have a Bell Forest project for the...
Probably.
For the...
I think so.
Chest of drawers?
We just have to get consistent about pulling that information on the public end. All right, Andrew wrote in, "Hi guys, I'm currently about to make my first homemade workbench. Wondering what wood to make the top out of. There are a lot of people that make it out of hardwood like yourself, and a ton that make it out of either plywood or softwood. I'm looking to drill holes in my bench for hold downs. What are the pros and cons?" Well, I would say avoid plywood. If you're already going in that solid wood direction, I say continue in that direction. I think plywood is kind of good for, you know, my first workbench. And then eventually you get sick of it and you want to go with solid wood that you can easily flatten over time. And it sounds like you're already at that point. So skip the plywood. And really when it comes to a workbench, I think most folks who either built multiple benches or have experience in this will tell you just kind of get the wood that you can get the cheapest, right? Because you need a lot of it to get this job done. So no matter what the wood species is, you're going to pay a lot to get that quantity. So you may as well go with something that is easily accessible, fairly inexpensive, and stable for the most part. Folks in the Southeast, Southern Yellow Pine is a really good option. It's like a construction grade material that you can get fairly inexpensively, and it's you know, got pretty good density and weight to it. You know, soft maple is always a good choice, but you're going to pay quite a bit for that one. There are people who make their benches. I think Wilbur Pan, if I'm not mistaken, made his workbench out of Douglas fir. So if you can get good quality, not cheap crap, but if you get good quality Douglas fir at a good price, go for it, you know? So that's really what it comes down to is make it reasonably hard as much as you can, but you know, don't blow tons of money on it. Just get something that is affordable and accessible.
Can I do a question?
Of course.
Chris Robinson wants to know, Mark and or Nicole, have you had any experience with people joining the guild for the specific purpose of just watching the projects and interacting with the guild community? Yes, sure. And we also have discounts. So it's like a sort of a discount club. So like right now, if you join the guild, very super cool tools gave us a 10% discount on their entire store. So some people,
depending on what you're buying,
you
can actually, you know, essentially make money on the deal by investing in the guild, getting those discounts. And if there were things you were going to buy anyway, the amount you save can easily exceed what it costs.
If you're at that point. So if you go to the woodwhispererguild.com/discounts, you can see all the active discounts currently.
I would say we have a lot of those people though. We did a survey and less than, well, I would say maybe, geez, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like less than 25% of people who are in the guild are actively building the projects. And that's fine. That's, you know, you don't need to build something to learn from it. I don't expect people to build what we're building, but I do expect them to either learn or be entertained, you know, and that's kind of what we've seen with our numbers.
And there's like the whole community aspect to it too with the...
like the Facebook group. And in fact, let me skip to a comment I have here specifically about the Facebook group. I just want to read it. Peter wrote in, he says, "Hey Mark, not a question, but a positive comment. I posted my trusty 6-inch jointer on the Guild Facebook group last week. I bought a new Delta 8-inch. Within an hour, I had a bunch of interested folks messaging me. Everyone was super friendly, and at the end of the week, a very nice guild member was in my driveway taking the jointer away. It was a great experience, and I really appreciate the great community you created."
Oh, that's
Cheers.
so cool.
So that's one of the extra benefits that one might join for. Okay. Kurt wrote in, "I'm doing a panel glue up," it's a big panel, "using parallel clamps and dominoes. I don't have a drum sander. While I don't have cauls or panel clamps, should I be using them or something else to get the flattest panel possible out of the glue up? Or should I just work on any flattening issues after the glue up?" Well, I think you should do everything you can to ensure that you don't have issues afterwards. The dominoes will go a long way into keeping those joints nice and flat, so you don't have to worry about that. But you may still, if it's a big panel, you may still have to worry about, you know, some cupping occurring, depending on how the clamping pressure is applied. But if you have dominoes and parallel clamps, and you alternate your parallel clamps, one up, one down, one up, one down, your panel should be balanced. If it isn't, if it comes out warped, it's something with the wood or something with the way you jointed the edges causing that to happen. But usually, 99% of the time, you'll be fine with that setup. So I don't think you have to do much more than that. And never plan to clean up after the fact, because that's just, you're gonna waste a lot of wood. It's just a big headache. You've now got this giant panel. It's not worth it. So I always plan to have things as flat as possible as early in the process as possible to limit the amount of work I have to do. Peter, Middleton, just starting to dip my toes into the world of woodworking after a long time away, have a 100-square-foot shop, little to no tools. Want to end up as a hybrid woodworker employing the best of hybrid and hand tools and power tools. Yes, I am trying to sneakily play with your hair. Does anyone notice that? I'm just casually like,
what is up?
Got my thumb winding up some beautiful Goldie locks over here. So basically he says, in your opinion, would I be better off getting a Lee Nielsen carcass saw, a rabbiting block plane, and number 5 jack plane, or should I drop this money on a table saw instead? As you started with power tools and supplemented them with hand tools, the crux of the question is really, if you were to do it all again, would you follow the same path or learn on hand tools and then supplement with power tools later? Okay, this is a little bit tricky. It's a very personal decision. I think it's a little more difficult to start with hand tools. And without direct guidance, sometimes it can be a difficult path. Shannon can certainly attest to this with the number of people he helps out who get frustrated with their hand tool usage. And it can be a tricky way to go. So it's not for everybody. And that's why the hybrid methodology is basically adding hand tools to do the fun stuff with hand tools. So if you just buy the hand tools first, and you're creating that foundation, you're creating the foundation for a hand tool woodworker, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you truly want to be the most efficient hybrid woodworker, the core is, I mean, this whole thing is the result of the way I learned, which starts with power tools. But that actually leads into what is so special about it, is the core of this process and this way of woodworking is the power tools. So I still think, while I do think there's a benefit to learning hand tools first and then graduating to power tools, if you're looking for the shortest road from A to B, I think power tools will get you there. And then you add in the hand tools to help make that process more fun and more accurate and to refine the process.
Cool.
So I would say buy that table saw, because at this stage of the game, you need productivity, you need wins, you need projects. And the table saw will get you more of those faster, as long as you know how to use it safely, than if you got a couple of hand tools and just tried to make things work. Okay.
I got a super chat from I am Speary, I think. Marc and Nicole, I've been wanting to throw this out for weeks, but an answer to the time travel question. Yeah. Yes. Not enough space to explain, but yes.
I told you. You thought I was kidding. Thank you. I appreciate that. And a bunch of other. Damn it, woman.
What are you doing? Just throwing stuff down. There's not even like.
If my brad nailer is broken, it's going to be on you.
What? You just. Oh, it was on a shelf. I accidentally kicked it.
Yeah, silly me, storing my stuff on a shelf. How dare I?
So there you go.
You feel better now?
I don't really care.
You lost an argument and now you're breaking my tools. I don't like that.
Here, I'm gonna throw this Tight Bond across the...
That's fine. We don't care about Tight Bond. That stuff's cheap. Okay, Steve wrote in, have you seen the work of Philip Lloyd Powell, specifically the New Hope lounge chair in black walnut? You can see it here. I would sign up today for a chance to build this with you. He's talking about the guild. It's a beautiful chair. We'll put a link in there for you guys to check it out. Here's the thing, if it's someone else's design, it's not cool. It's not cool for me to just go, hey, let's build this.
Yeah.
Timer up. So in that particular instance, I would need to have an agreement in place, probably a licensing agreement and a fee associated with using this person's design, and I would certainly need their blessing to do it. So yeah, the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's an absolutely beautiful chair. Okay, so one more.
Did you already do this one?
Building a waterfall, okay, this is Philip. Building a waterfall edge coffee table. I'll be using dominoes for strength and alignment for this 45-degree mitered edge. I'm planning on using epoxy for the glue up because it gives me more working time. My question is, when gluing the end grain to end grain, specifically with epoxy, is there anything special that I need to do when gluing up the joint to make it rock solid? I'm nervous about the end grain soaking up all my epoxy. Well, here's the deal. You've got dominoes in there. that's probably going to be enough, enough strength. But anything, the way I look at it, the dominoes will be the primary source of strength. Any glue that still resides in that joint and doesn't get soaked up by the end grain is going to help. You know, so if some of it gets soaked up, fine. But one thing you could do to stop that is use the filler, the high density filler additive that you could put into the epoxy, thicken it up. If it's too loose and runny, it will soak it right up. If it's a little bit thicker, the wood can't pull it in as much. So that's going to be the key to getting that joint together and leaving a layer of epoxy between there, is thickening it up. The other things that you can do, though I think thickening is probably the best solution for this, there are times where you can pre-seal a miter, right? So you could take a little bit of glue size, basically, you know, standard glue, mix it with a little bit of water, and kind of paint that into the end grain, and then sand it nice and clean when it's done, and you're sort of pre-sealing it. You could do the same thing with a little bit of shellac. Put that on the end grain, so you're not completely sealing it, but you're sealing it enough so it isn't just like, gimme, gimme. This way you can put the epoxy on, some will absorb, some won't, and it will stay in the joint. So that's something else to consider. What are you laughing at? I'm just trying to make people happy. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, and another nice comment we got from Joshua. No question at the moment, just a thank you. Not sure how long I've been watching, maybe a year or more. I've gained knowledge from every video you put out. Marc, you do a great job with the background and instruction. I've gotten to really enjoy Friday Live. You two make a good team. Thanks for all the great info. Aww. Well, thank you. We love getting comments like that. Because by rights, I like them. We talked about this. By rights, this show shouldn't exist. Oh,
Taylor's Wood says, just did a super chat. No question, just wanted to buy you guys a cup of coffee. Woo! Thanks for all you do.
Thank you,
You bought us
Wood.
4 cups of coffee with
That's
that.
really generous of you.
Yes,
Thanks
that
so
was
much.
so nice.
But honestly, yeah, I mean, this show shouldn't exist, right?
It's weird.
It's a dumb idea. Like, hey, I'm a woodworker. Let me bring my wife over and we'll talk and answer questions and actually show nothing. Like, it's almost like the Seinfeld of woodworking shows. It's a show about nothing.
Well, it's about something, you know, where it's community based.
Well, nothing is something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love the concept. Obviously, we love doing it.
I love it.
I just think it's hilarious that it actually works.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't work.
Nick Boardman wants to know if we're going to any non-woodworking cons this year. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to go to Nerdtacular.
Nerdtacular.
We're going to go to BlizzCon.
And that is a real thing. So if you go to nerdtacular.com, you'll see what it is.
Yeah, Nerdtacular will be good.
Our friend Scott Johnson does it. Well, this is the last year he's doing it, so.
We're going to go to BlizzCon, but I kind of squashed that.
We can still just go.
No, we're not going.
I want to go.
Money is the problem.
I know.
And Comic-Con. I know there's a Denver Comic-Con this summer, so I'm sure we'll go to that.
Yeah, there's some kind of Lego event going on that we might go to.
Yeah, we did Free Comic Book Day. What was it? This past weekend, right?
Yeah.
Mateo loves Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so exciting. So exciting for me.
Yeah.
To see him get into this stuff. So anything else? We're pretty much done.
Yeah, let's just do a couple quick. Did you already do your patron thank yous?
No.
Okay, you do that. Novocaine009 wants to know any suggestions on cleaning F-style clamps. Cleaning them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with parallel clamps. A lot of people use a very, like a soft bristle brush to pop off any glue. Talk to Matt Cremona. He uses carburetor cleaner.
Really?
Little excessive, Matt, but fine. Whatever floats your boat. And I mean, he puts bacon grease in his pancakes. What do you expect? But usually putting a nice coat of wax on them helps prevent too much glue from getting on them. But you know what I find? With the F-style clamp, I don't usually have it in a position that it's vulnerable to glue squeeze out. It's usually my parallel clamps that sit under panels that get exposed to that. The F-style clamps, I've never had to clean glue off of them. So it must just be a different way that I use them compared to you because I never get glue on them.
Well, if you do get glue on them, don't you wipe it off pretty quickly?
Well, you wipe it off when you can, but normally in a glue up, it's stuck there until the glue is dry.
You're conservative with your glue.
No, some people aren't.
Yeah, Vunamar keeps asking about tips on drying your own logs and lumber. Marc doesn't do that, so yeah, the suggestion from Steve.
Go see my buddy Matt Cremona.
That's what Steve said. He goes, go see Matt Cremona.
He's a guy who dries his logs with gusto. I just buy them dry.
Fish Newton wants to know, do you think you could offer a guild series on picture frames when you frame those new photos of yours? Like various, that'd be kind of neat. Do a bunch of different picture frames?
Probably wouldn't do it in the guild though.
No.
If I was going to do picture frames, I'd just do it for free.
Well, you already have a few videos on the free site with picture frames, the one you did for me.
Just one. I've only done one.
Well, isn't the mirror frame?
There's commonality between that, but yeah, I've never just done, here are some picture frames.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. Let's see, I'm just gonna quickly, Kevin wanted to know, finishing a project with varnish due to the comfort with the finish, concerned about odor, what do you think about putting lacquer on top to seal odors? Isn't lacquer more stinky?
Lacquer's stinky, but only for a short time. So you're off-gassing, you don't want that smell. Here's the thing, I don't like putting lacquer over a poly or over an oil-based varnish. Oil-based varnishes tend to have a little bit more like elasticity to them, a little flexibility. Your lacquers tend to be a lot less flexible. So you're putting something fairly inflexible over top of something that has like a natural flexibility, and that is not a happy situation. There could be cracking and all kinds of weird things can happen. Also keep in mind that if the material still smells, if the finish still smells, it's still in a process of curing. And if that's happening, you really don't necessarily want to just lock that stuff in, because this stuff cures by oxidation, and over time exposure to oxygen as it gets through into the deeper layers is what leads to this thing getting to its full strength. You coat that with lacquer, you impede that and sort of retard that process. So I don't know that that's a good idea at all. I would say if that's a problem for you, do something different. Maybe start with like a single coat of an oil-based finish to get the color you want. Let that cure completely, and then switch over to a water-based finish or a lacquer to build up your coats of a finish that doesn't stink as much.
No stinky.
Yes.
We did get a super chat from Tyler just now.
Hey!
Any idea when you might do a miter saw station? I need one.
This keeps coming up.
I need one for my shop, and I like James King's version, but would like to see what you would come up with.
Probably something less impressive. See, for me, a miter station, and I actually like his James's version, because a miter station doesn't have to do much. It just has to be a bank of cabinets with a lower section in the middle so that your saw is flat.
Right.
I don't think I need like fancy fences. All that stuff to me is extraneous. On a miter saw, it doesn't matter. You know what matters on a miter saw? The stuff that came with the saw. Right in that area, that's your reference surface. Everything else kind of doesn't really matter. So all I would ever do is maybe install a mobile stop system across the edge, and that might be it. So it's going to be fairly benign and vanilla, for lack of a better choice of words. So I don't think it's going to be all that exciting, but I do need one because that's not working for me.
No, what is going on with that?
That's like a Sam's Club stand. You guys want to see it? It's my Sam's Club.
Here's Marc's miter station.
Here it is, in all of its glory. Maybe get in front of that cord. There we go. So yeah, this beauty over here is a Sam's Club workbench. I replaced the top, and it works. It gets the job done, but lots of wasted space here. I need more storage than what I have. It's also a little bit too tall. I mean, this isn't meant for this purpose. So this is like at my midsection, so it's actually pretty uncomfortable to make cuts this way. I think the ideal height is probably about 3 or 4 inches lower than this, you know, normal countertop height. This is not ideal at all whatsoever, but I do want to fill this space with something much more productive and functional.
Had a few people ask about any update video on the Makita miter saw.
Not yet.
Nope. Are you? Do you have a video coming?
I probably will. It's basically a follow-up to the Bosch.
This is what I deal with. I'm like, okay, let's plan out our schedule. I'll get to it.
Eventually. It's kind of the follow-up to the Bosch versus the Capex.
Oh, gotcha.
So now it's, okay, we determined that the Capex...
Is that the Makita right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we determined the Capex is better. Like, there's very few people who can argue with that. But is it the increased cost better? Is it that much better? In my opinion, is no. That doesn't mean that people shouldn't buy it. You know, if you really want that good dust collection, if some of those features matter to you, then get that Capex. But now we're at the question of, okay, we made that decision. Now, how does the Makita compare to the Bosch? And that's going to be what the next discussion will be about.
Right. Cool.
Okay, so Patreon thanks. People who jumped into the fray this week. Dean Britton, Bryce Dowser, Ryan Jones, and John Dunlap. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yay.
And that's patreon.com/woodwhisperer, where you can support the show, keep this nonsense going.
Crazy.
Maybe, I don't know, what's the next goal after the PM show? Maybe Marc builds the miter station. How about that?
Well, it's the next goal, the Patreons will help us decide the videos that you start. We'll give them a survey. And
They're patrons, not Patreons.
Well, I call them Patreons.
By the way,
yeah.
After the show, I'm gonna go walk down the block like this. With my King James clamp.
Yeah. Somebody just asked what James's YouTube channel is, and I just put it in the chat room. So.
There you go. Yeah, we'll put the link there. But James, you got to get on the custom link thing. It's not showing up for some reason.
Change your name.
You can get a custom URL for your YouTube channel, so it's easy to remember. But yeah, James King. Well, it's King James Woodworking, right?
King's Fine Furniture.
King's Fine Furniture.
Fine Woodworking. Oh, shit.
Let's get this right. His name's James King. And I think it's King's Fine Woodworking is the name of the channel. Yeah, so go check it out.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Thank you again, James.
Woodgrain said, you didn't see my super chat. I didn't see a super chat from you. Let me see.
You can go into the...
Well, it usually shows up at the top, and then I can click on it.
Change something.
There's Iron Spear.
Oh, we have to pick a winner too.
Oh, yeah. You do that while I look for his super chat, because I don't see it. I'll just ask the question. And dang it, I just lost the chat.
I'm going to pick Alex Leffelman's question about do you wish more people would check the search on your website?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Alex Leffelman, you get a free guild project.
There you go.
Did you find it?
I didn't find it. So if he...
Can I see something?
Yeah, there's Tyler.
A lot of times, I'm taking her out of the chat here to see if we can find this. You go to live.
That's where I was.
Sister, you settle down.
How satisfied are you with live streaming on YouTube? Not very... Oh, super chat. Well, look at that.
Do you see it there?
Oh, he said my channel, Woodgrain. Is that it? There's nothing. You just want to promote?
Plug.
You just want to plug? Okay. Woodgrain.
Woodgrain is his channel.
Yep.
So look up Woodgrain.
I guess I
think that's all he wanted.
Yeah. Drummer Dude, Woodgrain, Iron Spear, Taylor's Wood.
Drummer Dude. You know my first online handle, like AOL days, was Drummer Boy.
Drummer Boy.
Yeah. I wasn't cool enough to be a drummer dude. Oh, by the way, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
And if you're watching this on Saturday, hope you have a great Saturday.
Yeah. You know what? Gotta say, so many people write in and say this is like the one woodworking related thing that my wife tolerates. And I know there's women, who watch this as well as woodworkers. Yeah. That's fine, but obviously this is it's a giant sausage party, and let's address that. Let's address the elephant in the room, Nicole.
Or the sausage in the room.
Let's address the sausage in the room. And I think that's awesome. That one of the coolest things is to think of a couple sitting down actually watching this crap is fantastic. You know what I mean?
It'd be probably good if you don't call it crap.
It's a term of endearment.
Yes, it is. Bye,
all right,
everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Yay.
Adios. Peace out. Toodaloo. Sayonara. Ciao.
Oh, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.